Hey guys, Zaniverse here. Long time no see, or short time depending on if I get my upload schedule on track. How have things been for you? Good? Great. They're not going so great for me, as you can see. Apparently, there's a zombie outbreak here, and I'm stuck inside of the shopping mall until the military arrives. I would have been fine stocking up and waiting it out, but apparently waking up an hour too late and going to the store means that starving to death is the only option. Luckily for me, nobody's bothered to touch the American food aisle, so I'll be feasting on uncooked boxes of Kraft mac and cheese, milkless Lucky Charms, marshmallow fluff, cream of wheat soup, and of course, delicious hot dogs in a jar. You guys are disgusting. I did, however, find this Kinder Surprise egg, so if I get backed into a corner by a zombie, maybe the prize inside will choke them to death, if zombies can even choke. Speaking of, this whole situation reminds me of a video game. Do you remember Dead Rising? The Capcom game that in no way, shape or form feels like it's made by Capcom. It stars an American fella called Frank West, who goes into a zombie-infested shopping mall to uncover the scoop of a lifetime. It's quite fun, and quite old. And of course, to hide the fact that I'm actually a small child using a voice filter, I think we should review it. So, join me in the first of the Dead Rising retrospectives to see if I can live out the American dream the way society has shown me, shooting guns and mercilessly game-ending people who make me fear for my life. Released in 2006, Dead Rising is a game that puts a spin on the zombie game formula. Capcom's previous hit zombie title, Resident Evil, is known for being a tad scary, and then becoming more action-based as the series progresses. Capcom wanted to do something different for Dead Rising, and opted to make the game more humor-focused with their take on zombies. This is shown by the fact that Capcom focused on the mechanics of using just about anything to bash in the skulls of the undead. The game was originally going to take place at a strip mall with a lot less stores, but as the game progressed in development, Capcom decided to turn the Willamette shopping mall into a massive stereotypical American shopping center. However, people got worried that the game was infringing on George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which also showcased people living inside of a shopping mall during a zombie apocalypse. Capcom then told these naysayers to not worry about it, because wholly unpredictable idea, translating to, bro, it's zombies in a shopping mall, it's so generic nobody is going to be bothered by it. The game received a demo on August 4th on Xbox Live, and then 4 days later the game launched on August 8, 2006. The gameplay of Dead Rising is quite simple, which isn't surprising seeing as it was released in 2006 and we had not yet reached the monkey age of gaming. In Dead Rising, you play as Frank West, a seasoned journalist who's covered wars, you know. He travels to the recently zombie-infested town of Willamette in order to get the scoop and become filthy rich in the process. In Dead Rising, the world is your weapon.
You rang?
Oh, I won't be needing you for at least another 9 to 12 months.
Oh, okay.
The game takes place over a 72-hour period inside of the Willamette Mall, meaning that you're essentially free to fuck about and do a wide variety of activities until the bombs drop, killing everyone. These activities include, but aren't limited to, robbing gun stores, going on joyrides, rescuing survivors, acquiring drip, and actually focusing on the main missions or ones. The biggest part of Dead Rising's gameplay is of course killing the undead in a variety of ways, some more effective than others. You can quite literally use anything you can pick up as a weapon. Guns, blunt weapons, sharp weapons, benches, a fucking flower pot, and even a chair. Killing zombies rewards you with PP. Most kills, however, don't reward you with PP, so you'll have to level up by gaining 500 PP every 50 kills. There are, however, some solid ways of farming PP. Defeating psychopaths, the game's main form of boss fights, rewards you with a set amount of PP, starting at 20,000, which will go up throughout the game with each additional psychopath you defeat. Finding and rescuing survivors work the same way, as well as killing special enemy types, ranging from cult members to Obama's drones to personnel of the United States military, also reward you with a large amount of PP. The game is different for most in this way, where most games become harder as you go through it, this one actually becomes easier the further you get into it. There's also the FromSoft category, where you get consistently fucked throughout the entire experience. Escorting and actually rescuing survivors has to be one of the most cumbersome, saddening, and downright depressing tasks I've had to complete in a game for quite a while, as the AI might be some of the most brain dead I've had to deal with. They'll constantly get stuck on objects, run into walls, or just downright get lost, leaving you to frantically search for them as their health bar whittles away. It is even harder to complete these missions when you're a weak, low-level bitch. as you can tank as many hits, carry as many overpowered weapons, or sprint like a certain blue hedgehog. Take this pair of redditors for example, Aaron and Bert. I found them holed up inside of a clothing store, and after shooting some sense into Bert, they agreed to follow me to the nearby safe house. I however took too long to get them there. This resulted in Aaron blowing his brains out. Total overreaction if you ask me. But hey, we balled. Tough times create hard men, or something like that. All of your missions, main and side, come in the form of scoops, which are given to you by this kind old black gentleman named Otis. He randomly calls you throughout the game to let you know about the fun activities happening throughout the mall. It however seems that Capcom has decided to program him in the most asshole way possible, as he always seems to call when you're predisposed, primarily when you're in a life or death situation. He's also not taking no for an answer, as declining his calls will just result in him calling you back within 4 nanoseconds only to scold you for doing so in the first place. The worst part about this is that the devs quite literally put an achievement in the game where you must answer every call from Otis on the first try, so that's fun. PP can also be earned by doing Frank's actual job, which is taking pictures of stuff and things happening around you. The more horrific and terrifying, the better. See somebody getting sacrificed by a cult? Snap a picture. See someone getting torn limb from limb by a horde of ravenous flesh eaters? Snap a picture. Are you actively engaged in close quarters combat with a Satan worshipping zealot currently running at you while wielding a medieval sword? You guessed it, snap a picture. Brutality, drama, outtake, horror, and erotica are the 5 genres of PP photos, and you'll want to get as many of them to rise through the ranks to up your maximum health, attack strength, inventory space, throwing distance, and running speed. You'll also unlock new melee attacks which you'll use maybe once before forgetting about them altogether. You can also craft combo wait, that's only in the second game? Fuck. Joining Frank on this American dream of an adventure is a short cast of characters who never leave the safe house, because the one time they do, they immediately get turned into a glorified flashback for the Horde. Another thing that sets this game apart from the rest is that you're always on the clock. A blue bar means you have more than 6 hours to complete a scoop, yellow means less than 6, red means less than 3, and grey means you were too slow. I advise not being too slow with the main scoops, as missing these will just end the game, sending you back to whenever you remember to last save. There are no autosaves, and I had to find that out the hard way. I'll now describe what your average playthrough could look like. Our story starts off with Frank flying into the walled-off city of Willamette. On our way towards the mall, we take pictures of all sorts of horrific acts of violence. This city is incredibly detailed for how little of the game actually takes place here. It makes me wonder if we were once meant to be able to leave the mall and explore it on foot, but it ended up being cut due to budget constraints or hardware limitations. It doesn't take long for the US military to get involved, ruining our fun. We land on the roof and catch our breath for about 1 second before being ambushed by this strange looking Mexican fella, who acts very suspicious and mysterious. I wonder if he's withholding some critical and important information. We head inside and take a nap because Frank is a balding middle-aged man. We head down into the mall to find it's actually pretty peaceful. The doors are barricaded and the zombies are locked out. This peaceful utopia lasts for all about 2 minutes before this white lady opens the door in order to rescue her dog, which is unironically the most white lady thing she could do during a zombie outbreak. The next few minutes of footage are the screams of the innocent as they are brutally killed by the undead. All the important characters however survive, so that's lucky, and we meet the gang: Brad, Jesse, and Otis. The safe house is also where you have to bring any survivors you find and decide to rescue. We then get a survivor rescue tutorial. I however have terminal stupidity and accidentally leave one behind, not noticing the health bar as it is dropping at an alarming rate. We talk to Jesse. Rip Bozo. You aim a gun with Q, because this game was designed by actual cave trolls. I run out into the courtyard before getting a call from Otis and having to run right back to where I came from. Great timing, Otis. I go to a food court and meet German 985. It takes me about 10 minutes to take 2 pictures of him. Terminal stupidity. I go to help Brad and get to fight our first boss. Ah shoot, who would have thought it was this upstanding and respectable civilian? I am however sorely unprepared, underleveled, and unskilled. Turns out Frank is a lot tankier than I originally thought, easily taking a few dozen bullets of an M16 but dying from a rather small drop. It is here that I get acquainted with the gruesome 2006 save system design by being sent back to the start of the game. Great game design. brisk 20 minutes later, I make it back to Brad, where I then exploit the game by getting infinite handguns from him. I guess being American does have its advantages. Brad tells us that we're a little bitch, and I find a chainsaw and break it within a minute. I then go to save Aaron and Bert, but you already know how this ends. Fun fact, you already get PP just for having them join you. You can actually just leave them to die without any repercussions if you believe in the classic every man for himself motto. Nighttime comes around and we witness 3 escaped convicts brutally murder an old man. Frank looks mildly unamused by this. We attempt to rescue the girl and it goes about as well as you would expect. We're then shown the effects of what happens to normal people when they listen to UK drill. I return to the safe house and I'm told to just wait around for like 7 in-game hours. I spent the next few hours fucking about in the mall before then being informed of this suspicious looking clown fella. Luckily, I just so happened to be carrying my military-grade vehicle-mounted 50 cal assault weapon, quickly dispatching him with it. I obtained a mini chainsaw for my troubles, one of the all-time GOAT weapons from the series. If only I could strap it to a paddle. I then proceed to, rescue Greg. I then go to rescue a couple of Japanese tourists who don't speak any English. You can find a Japanese book in order to get them to join you, but my Frank West is canonically a Republican who only speaks the language of freedom. So, I lure a couple of zombies inside the store and leave them to their own devices. I then go to a gun store in order to get myself acquainted with its current proprietor. Twitch chat says that I can hide behind the little stands to heal. Turns out they fucking lied. So, I respawn, actually rescue Greg, and return to Cletus with vengeance. I decided to completely break the balance of the game again by bringing my military-grade vehicle-mounted 50 cal assault weapon, absolutely obliterating him within literal seconds. I become even more Americanized by stealing more shotguns than the average Texas-based family of 4 has. I then actually rescue my first survivor. Before taking a look at my current progress, I then go to rescue the old guy from the start of the game. He's being held captive by Carlito, who's wielding a Barrett 50 cal from Modern Warfare this time around. The fight ends with Brad getting shot, so naturally we're asked to go get some medicine. On our way there, I fight Cliff, a Vietnam vet who went insane after hearing the voices. I would have loved to have silenced him for him, but unfortunately I was running out of time and Brad was running out of blood. So I speedrun the Steven boss fight before then making it back in the absolute nick of time. Fuck, I'm good at this game. I save Ronald before the game proceeds to up its own difficulty by adding a bunch of raincoat wearing cultists to the mall. They'll randomly spawn in groups armed with knives and explosives. They also have the ability to throw some Cheeto dust into your face, which results in being kidnapped and getting placed into an entirely different predicament. We then go girl hunting.
Please have a seat right there.
Which ends with me blasting heaps of shotgun shells into Isabella's general direction as she attempts to run me over on her bike. I then kill a family of 3 by repeatedly quickscoping them. I save Sally and Nick. Sally and Nick die to a psychopath. I kill the psychopath and try to escort 4 survivors at once. Serves me right for wanting to have actual morals. I reload my save and act like I was never informed of the survivors in the first place before meeting up with Isabella, who asks us to bring her back to the other survivors. It's at this point where we meet the absolute GOAT of the Dead Rising list of characters wiki. Kendall, this absolute Adonis of a man, comes with an infinite ammo shotgun and the wettest drip money can buy. I'm then told of the whereabouts of the It cosplaying cult, going there before dying not once, not twice, but 3 times to the cult's leader, Jacksepticeye. I only managed to beat him on the 4th attempt because I brought a cool little item called a shotgun. Barnaby then dies after seeing the review scores for Dead Rising 4. I go to stock up at the usual gun store only to find it occupied by another 3 rednecks who aren't so welcoming to strangers.
Guys, stop, guys. What in the actual fuck was that?
I then farm some kills to pass the time before then being told of Carlito's plan. He's planted a bunch of explosive underneath of the mall, with the resulting explosion having the capacity to scatter parasites over the entire planet. So we drive down into the maintenance tunnels collecting bombs and fighting Carlito for a 3rd time. This time he's armed with a van. If at all possible, don't break your car. This had to have been by far the most bullshit section of the game. There's no healing items in the tunnels, no real movement options apart from one lousy sedan, and essentially no viable options to fight against the massive undead hordes. That being said, I still managed to beat Carlito for that massive PP bonus. Doing so teleports you to a scripted sequence, completely changing your location and taking away my bike, aka my main method of travel in this hellscape. This situation was getting a little fucking dire. I had no weapons, no healing items, was entirely stranded, and had 4 quests in the red zone. So I fucking pulled up my pants, sat up straight in my ridiculously overpriced gaming chair before making a heroic sprint for the exit of the tunnel. Of course I fucking died. Do you see how little fucking health I had left? My second time goes a lot smoother. I even had a bottle of wine to spare, and in the only instance of Brad taking on Carlito on his own, he royally gets his ass handed to him. But we're not in the clear yet, as we're given a not so optional mission of stopping Kendall the Shotgun Knight from just taking all of the survivors out of the safe room and into the mall. But it's fine, because all you need to do to change his mind is just talk to him once. Neat. I spent the next 10 minutes running around the safe house, just waiting for the next case to unlock, which is just following Isabella to her own hideout, which is located conveniently close to the aforementioned gun store. I am immediately told to return to Jesse, who reveals that Carlito got kidnapped by Nicocado Avocado. We get to the slaughterhouse and, as you should expect by now, fight the suspicious looking character until one of us is dead. Luckily for me, the butcher has chronic stupidity and ends up getting stuck on the meat. Carlito dies, but before he does, he spills the beans on why he's the villain of the story. Turns out the American government was up to no good in an underdeveloped and impoverished country, experimenting with some shit and accidentally wiping out an entire city in the process. Not the first time we'll see that little plot point come up throughout the series either. Also, we're in the endgame now. All that's left are the facts, which is literally just a cutscene. All that's left now is to wait for noon on the next day, where we can finally get the fuck out of this place. Next on the agenda is quite literally just 13 in-game hours of me driving a car around to watch a number go up in the corner of the screen, very reminiscent of Just Cause 2 completion. Midnight does come with a brand new caveat. The military is here to clean up the mess and they're not taking any prisoners. Which I'm not complaining about, as that means that Otis won't have to call me about stranded survivors anymore. Over the course of the next 12 hours, there's progressively less and less giant hordes of zombies, with the military's presence becoming ever more threatening to the player, which is honestly a really good change of pace to the, by this point, rather stale zombie killing. So I got a little over 10,000 kills before going to the helipad for my date with Ed. He's however ambushed by a zombie that managed to sneak into the chopper, causing it to crash. I initially thought this was the worst ending possible, as the full credit sequence started to play while we're getting surrounded by zombies. Here's my survivor chart.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, we didn't do too hot. Well said, past me. Well said. Turns out it's fucking bait, however, as our main gal Isabella comes out to save our bum ass. It's then revealed to us that Frank hasn't turned from all the zombie bites we've received throughout the game because he's already infected. However, I am running out of time, so I need to get myself some stuff to make an antivirus, which requires coffee filters, a blender, and a camp stove for some reason. While doing this, I find the wreckage of Ed's helicopter, confirming that he is indeed dead, but also finding that there's a convenient tunnel inside of the mall's clock tower. So we return to Isabella with everything she needs for her little science project, but turns out that we're missing one crucial ingredient: queen bees. How many, you ask? 10. Fucking 10. 10? Really? I then spend, no joke, 30 fucking minutes mindlessly shooting zombies in hopes of getting a bunch of 2% drops. Am I playing Dead Rising or World of Warcraft here? After that mildly annoying experience, we finally get cured and make our way down into the spooky tunnel. I monotonously shoot my way through the tunnel, burning through 4 fully loaded assault rifles. That's 600 rounds of pure death, by the way. I then get tasked with taking out 2 lousy soldiers, who actually almost end up being the death of me. We then partake in the most boring boss fight in the game, fighting a tank like it's Call of Duty or some boring shit like that. We then take part in the actual final boss, Brock, leader of the cleanup crew and the US military's finest. So you can tell he's evil because he's smoking a cigar while monologuing. Brock is the only boss that you'll have to take on entirely without weapons, which would make him the hardest in the game if I didn't manage to glitch him off the tank, leaving him to get relentlessly attacked by zombies and me to farm PP by taking pictures of it happening. The game ends with some text telling us that however great of a tragedy the entire extinction of a town was, the regular populace soon forgot it even happened in the first place, which is a frighteningly realistic take on the whole thing. So that's Dead Rising then, a game from 2006 that holds up ridiculously well. Shame on me for not getting around to it sooner. This is one of those games that I can already call one of the games of all time. with me returning to it once every few years to do a new playthrough or just generally fuck about it. I mean, I instantly started a second playthrough with mods so I could actually see all of the content it had to offer, which was a surprising amount. I missed a few psychopaths and a couple dozen survivors that I didn't even know existed in my first playthrough, which is also why this video took way longer to make than I originally anticipated. This game is quite honestly really impressive, and instantly set quite the high bar for open world games on the 7th generation. I really can't think of any that come close in scale off the top of my head besides Grand Theft Auto games and Dead Rising sequels obviously. Massive props to Capcom for their insane work on this game. Truly impressive. Dead Rising gets a well-deserved 8 cameras out of 10. Hey there, thanks so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you enjoyed, leave a like, a comment and subscribe as I have 192 more videos scheduled for release between now and the inevitable heat death of the universe. I wish you all the best. I've been Xeniverse, and I've got a gambling addiction to feed.